The other thing I could do is read questions and quotes from Papaji's books, if there's no questions. Yeah. How I would answer it and then how Papaji answers it. That's quite cool, eh? But this is the new format. There's no way I'm going back to the old format ever again. Like, I did that for 12 years and I didn't really realize like what I was allowing in, you know? It's I on principle, my heart's in the right place. Like, I think it should be out open for everyone, but we're just not really in a society ready for that. You know, and it excites those men to think, okay, I can see her every Sunday and I can try and abuse her. Yeah. And also another message I would say to people is another thing that I notice, you know, from all this exploration, and this is to the woman audience once again, is that the majority of watchers and listeners and consumers of spirituality, non-duality is more males in it, but it's still, I think, predominantly women-based. And if you go on to Buddha at the gas pump and you look to popular videos, like most of the popular videos are men. So that's our conditioning again. That's down to us and female conditioning and not examining our conditioning. And I think there's different reasons for it. There's sexual, it's like fancying the teacher. So that's also a good impulse. You know, when you fancy a teacher, I know I've done that in the past, it kind of like encourages you to follow them. It's nice, you know, to have those feelings. But it's also maybe, you know, an unconscious programming that men are more worthy to listen to, because men do tend to make more proclamations, and maybe that in an unconscious way makes women feel more confident, because, you know, we've been slaves for thousands of years to men, so we've got this slave mentality, you know, that somebody that says, I am the leader, follow me, we're like, oh, that's safety, because that most probably did save us for thousands of years. But it's like coming out of that, like, why are we having to listen to, or why are we listening predominantly to men online? Is it because of old conditioning of slavery, where we're like, oh, okay, they are saying strong proclamations and therefore they must be right, and somebody that's not saying strong proclamations, because that's often, women tend not to say such strong proclamations, they tend to be more subtle in the way they're speaking, although that's not always the case, and that is maybe too gender specific, like can be all different, but it can be like that. And so then the woman thinks, okay, so like what I used to unconsciously believe was that if they had strong proclamations, then it was more than likely they were telling the truth, and people that had lighter ones were more than likely maybe lying or something. And this sometimes is in our psychology. Like if you look up lying, that is like, sometimes liars do tend to be a bit more wishy-washy, but I think it's also a gender thing. And I think women will tend to be like less like, I am enlightened, this is the way it is, da, 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 da. And then the women ironically feel less safe with that. So it's like, I'm questioning our biases. Like, there are more women in spirituality, so why then Buddha at the gas pump, which is a really popular spiritual TV show, are most of the popular videos men, and it's us as women that are choosing to promote that. So why are we doing that? I know in my spiritual search, it was because I had daddy issues, fancying, and because I felt safer with a man because of their strong proclamations, because of conditioning. And also maybe competition of women. Like, it was like the competition element was too painful. And maybe I was a bit scared of their wisdom, you know, I felt like I could like get away with things more with men or something by using sexuality. You know, you couldn't like hide from it, or I was, yeah. So it's also like questions that we can ask ourselves as women, because, you know, to change things on the internet, we are half the gender. We also have to look at our own shadows in this situation. So, like, to all the women audience out there, it's like, support women speakers. Yes. Which is kind of, maybe I'm preaching to the wrong crowd, because you are supporting a woman speaker. So maybe this is actually the wrong audience, and the ones that I should be speaking to will be with the men, and I should transform myself into a man and get a man meme now and then start saying it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm also sorry if I'm splitting up the genders too much and doing too many stereotypes, which is maybe true. You know, I'm an 80s child where I grew up in a really sexist environment. You know, Berkshire in the 80s was very sexist. I wasn't allowed to play football, you know, all that type of, you know, and that stuff goes deep. I'm really hammering it with the woman stuff today, eh? Then we're going to read from a male's book. Okay.